Well, on New Jersey this week, we officially lost all sight of the Jackie that we thought we knew. But more on that later. The show opened with Teresa still fighting with John Fuda. On his way out, John said, "Hey, when I need my money laundered, I'll call you." And Teresa responded with, "I don't do money laundry. That was my husband, thank you very much." Money laundry is just laundry with money in the pockets. And she screams out, calls him a loser and a drug dealer. And then she turns to Louis and says, "He is making a very, very, very big mistake." She says, "He's screwing with the wrong teresagiudice." And Louis says, "I know he is." On their way out of the restaurant, the Foodas decide that they're not going to bring that weird housewarming present that Teresa sent for her brother, and they leave the bottle of booze on the bar counter. While they're walking to their car, Rachel asks John if he noticed how quiet Louis was during the whole thing. But like I've said a few times now, that was all by design, Teresa's design. And she said that they were messing with the wrong teresagiudice this season. It's because this teresagiudice is still pissed off about last season, and she has decided that she is going to be the voice of the family, not Louis. She knows what a mess he made of things last season, and she is not having it. Teresa is in charge now, and that is what we're seeing. Teresa spelled it out herself numerous times on her now defunct podcast, Namaste Bitches. This season, Teresa is namaste no more and ready to turn some tables. And then Louis, of all people, calls John Fuda a Tony Soprano wannabe. And as they're walking out, they see that bottle of booze that they brought for her brother, the one that the Foodas left behind, so they pick it up. And then get this. Louis opens his mouth and tells Teresa, "Are you sitting down? He's a hothead, like your brother. And hotheads don't end up anywhere, babe." He's a hothead? Like your brother? Has he seen himself? Over at Danielle, she's still on cloud nine after her bougie fashion week debut, but she's quickly being brought right back down to earth by her own daughter Valentina, who clearly has a lot of very strong opinions, just like her mother. Then over at Melissa and Joe's, Melissa is attempting to have a classy housewarming party, one where they're not glug-glug-glugging shots down their throat, and let the girl have a dream. Then Dolores hosts a lunch for her mom and her daughter. We find out that little Frankie has a serious girlfriend, and that Big Frank's dog is dying, and that the dog situation has changed his proposal plan. And Dolores tells them that Polly wants to start a business with her, and no, it's not a brothel, it's electric. Then over at Louie's house, because it's not Teresa's, but she is there, she's making breakfast, talking to some of the kids, and Louie goes to the door to let in the guy who cut Sweet Nicholas's hair, because he feels more comfortable having his hair done at home by that specific person, which I was happy to see. But then when Nicholas was in the chair, Teresa out of nowhere goes, "Nicholas, do you love me?" And of course Nicholas said yes, but what else is he supposed to say? And then a minute later, seemingly out of nowhere, Louie goes, "Babe, I love you." And Teresa goes, "Ah." And then Louie's other son says, "I love you too." And Teresa says, "We just always want to make you guys happy. You guys come first." And while the sentiment was sweet, it just all felt so pre-produced. Then it's party time. The guests all begin to arrive, and everyone is greeted by Joe's balls, covered by a leaf, of course. It was the Michelangelo. Rachel tells Melissa about her face-to-face with Teresa and the way it all went down. She tells her about the blue label with the bow and the card. And just as Melissa says, "Oh, I'm so glad you didn't. Joe really wouldn't have wanted that," in walks the blue label with the bow and the card and the whole bit, accompanied by Dolores and a Polly that was so red he made Louis look pale. Rachel is in shock and asks Dolores where she got that bottle. Dolores instantly looked uncomfortable, and Melissa looked at her and said, "You did not bring that bottle to my house." And ding-a-ling, Dolores replies, "She asked me to bring it, so I brought it." But hello, what? She asked you to bring it, so you brought it. Have you no common sense? If she told you to jump off a bridge, would you do that too? Melissa tells Dolores this is so out of place, and Dolores says, "Listen, it's not my place to tell her that what she's doing is weird." But I couldn't disagree more. She talks about being a good friend to Teresa. If she was a good friend to Teresa, she would gently try to talk some common sense into her. She would say something like, "You know what, Teresa, you've already made your stance on them clear. Let's not try to muddy the waters like this. It's not a good look. If you really want to reach out to your brother, do it privately and I'll help facilitate that. But in this instance, I'm going to do you a favor and not take it." That's how you act like a good friend to someone while keeping your common sense intact. Then we're back in Louie's kitchen because it's not Teresa's, and she's telling Louie that she's planning on teaching Gia how to make meatballs because Gia's planning on moving in with her boyfriend Christian, the same guy that works for Louie. And I've been wondering, how much longer do you think Gia will like Louie after Christian's checks start bouncing? Gia comes down and joins the party, and while Teresa's cooking the meatballs, she realizes that the cooking mitts she's wearing were given to her by Danielle. And then she tells everyone around her that now Danielle is hanging out with people that she doesn't like. And Gia, in an attempt to prove that the apple does not fall too far from the tree, says that's fine as long as she's not playing both sides of the defense. Not the fence, the defense. And then Teresa, not to be outdone, says, I just don't want anybody muddling the waters. Not muddying, muddling. Then back at the party, Dolores and Polly and that bottle of Blue Label all make their way back to where the boys are, and Joe is so excited to see them and the bottle until he finds out that it's from Teresa. Joe was instantly rattled, and Melissa was pissed because she didn't want her classy party to devolve into tears because of Teresa. And she knows that it will because Melissa knows that Joe is a heartbroken little boy inside. Joe compartmentalizes his pain, but that doesn't mean it's not there. Dolores and Melissa walk away, and then Joe lets loose and then talks all about the heartbreak of being Teresa's brother. Then Rachel started recounting her big face-to-face, and Dolores asked her what Louie actually said. And Rachel said nothing. He didn't even talk. Then after receiving an earful from Dolores, Marge walked over to Jackie and asked her why she said the things she did. Melissa says, you know, Jackie, I consider you a good friend and I'm not mad at you for making up with her. Jackie says, but you tried to start something at a brunch that I shared with you in private. Melissa said, it's in your book. And Jackie says, well, the book's not out yet. And I would just like to know, does that mean that until the book is out, we just get to play fast and loose with the truth? And then Melissa says that on her podcast and in her book, Jackie said that Teresa caused her a relapse. Margaret tells Jackie, I've always wanted the best for you. And Jackie says, that's not true. I'm walking away. Margaret walks away reeling. And when she sees Jackie in the kitchen talking to her husband, she beelines over there and gets in between the two of them. Dolores questions Jackie about the picture tagging. Margaret sends Dolores proof that Jackie called her a slob. Dolores called Jackie disgusting. Do you think Dolores did the right thing by bringing the bottle? Comment below and let me know.